It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clipped Out Podcast, episode 396. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
Howdy.
Hi. Oh, goodness. So we are back from New York.
Yes, we are.
And I came back to a shit show.
Yeah, you did.
We got back and my office at work, a pipe had frozen and broken and dumped water all over the admin offices. So...
including all of your amazing mementos.
Yeah. So I had a copy of Entertainment Weekly when Superbad came out, signed by Jonah Hill and Michael Cera. Ruined.
Dead.
Your anniversary / Valentine's Day present.
I've heard about it.
Ruined. Yeah. And it's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. So, yeah. And I had a really cool monkeys lithograph signed by all four. And... I was able to save that in time.
Thank God.
Yes. That was from the late 90s and it was signed by all four. They only did 500 of them. And luckily the frame took all the damage. So I had to pay to have it reframed, but the actual signed lithograph did not get damaged.
Which is great because also irreplaceable.
Yes, absolutely. Especially since 3 of the 4 are no longer with us.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, on the bright side, that didn't happen at our house because you would have had a lot more.
That is true.
And
it would have been our house.
And it would have been our house. And there's a lot of people that are dealing with this very thing with all the fires and everything.
Yeah.
And
it is like a little window into, I lost 2 or 3 things and they're losing everything.
It is. Yeah.
For the people in LA that took time out of their day to listen to this that are like, you whining son of a bitch.
I mean, I would feel that way if I were them.
Yeah.
But I think most people also recognize that like all of these things are subjective, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't know that a pipe would burst in your office and they didn't know that they were going to have a fire heading for their house. Like it's one of those situations where neither of you could do anything about it.
And then in the meantime, so we went to New York, so I took off Friday and then I was off Monday because of Martin Luther King. And then so I went back in on Tuesday to all this. And so now it's Wednesday. I haven't been able to actually do any work for like 5 days because my computer got roached. Like I came in and my power strip that the computer was plugged into was literally smoking.
Yeah. That's one of those don't touch.
Yeah.
Don't touch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good times.
I know it sucks.
So, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we have our interview with Julie Brewer. Listeners might remember finding a really cool post from her a while back on the OPP. There's not a lot of those really cool posts.
That's fair.
And she posted about donating her kidney to her mom, and we have her on to talk about that whole journey. So that'll be a really great discussion. We also have a bunch of news stories, like Peloton just released some stuff like new workout plans that you can personalize. It's already been in the guide, but it's new to the app.
Right.
So a lot of people have never seen it. Peloton apparel officially has dropped to Target. We spotted that a few weeks ago. It is out now. Peloton and Hilton, not Pelton. Peloton and Hilton have expanded their partnership. We're going to talk about that. We've got some details about the Peloton beta testing, about the immersive experience. And we also have an update on the PR fiasco because people weren't getting their PRs. So we're going to talk about all of that and some new lawsuit stuff and Peloton raising money for people who are affected by the LA fires, not to mention instructors in the news. And we have an update on Kristin McGee.
A big one.
A huge one. Really excited about this. And while we're there, we'll also do a little deep dive into our visit to Tonal this weekend.
We got to check out the new Tonal.
Which was Well, I'll save it.
Yes.
But, and then we have content. So all kinds of stuff today.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you are there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. Super helpful.
Yeah.
You can also, if you want to support the show financially, it's only $5 a month over on Patreon, patreon.com/realspoilers for that.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Wrong show.
Patreon.com/theclipout.
There you go.
Although Real Spoilers will take your $5 too.
I bet they will.
Yeah.
Don't give it to Kevin.
So what do you get for your $5? You get ad-free episodes. You get bonus content. Last week's was like 37 minutes.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then also, if we get the episodes early, you get the episodes early. And it's just a nice, easy way to just help kind of fund a lot of the core expenses of the show, web hosting and paying writers and just all the things that go into it. So again, that's patreon.com/theclipout. And then of course, I got it that time. Also, Real Spoilers, baby. Got $10. You know, you can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget, you can sign up for the newsletter at theclipout.com, which I just realized I forgot to send out this week.
Whoopsers.
And then, because we were in New York, and then you can watch all of these over on YouTube. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
Before we dig in, do you want to tell people what we're talking about on Patreon this week?
I got so flustered by getting the Patreon wrong. So over on the Patreon bonus episode this week, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about who the hardest instructors are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for the hardest instructor or looking to avoid the hardest instructor,
we got you covered.
We got you covered. Either way, that's helpful. We'll, of course, do the podcast roundup of where you can find the other podcasts you can find the instructors on, where you can meet Kristin D'Ercole. And we'll talk a little bit about our New York trip and give you some more just details into what we did while we were in NYC. So now there is all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
Peloton now creates personalized workout plans.
They sure do. So what does that mean? What that means is a couple of things. Number one, if you've had the guide for a little while, you know this. You can go in and you can say, okay, I want to do strength. I want to do it 3 days a week. And I want to focus on building strength versus, fat loss.
Right.
And it will then give you classes. Okay. So each week it'll say, here's your picks. And it will then start on a Monday, and you can pick which day, I believe. Every time you log in on that day, it will give you like, here's your next class and your list. So that was on the guide. Now it has rolled out to the app for everybody to be able to use.
Oh, cool. I'm sure people will dig that.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are some positives here, but I have to say it's not that exciting of an update. Like I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but like what I kept running into, and the feedback I got from other people about it, is that it would like focus on an instructor. Even if you didn't ask for that instructor, because there's no way to do that, by the way.
Right.
And then you would get a lot of that instructor. While meanwhile, somebody else that's doing something very similar to you will be really focused on a different instructor. And it's really odd.
Yeah.
And it's not 100% like that.
Right.
It just kind of tends to, you know how like you play a Spotify playlist and they start doing the same artist over and over again?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I haven't used it in a while over on the guide. And people kind of stopped bringing it up. Doesn't mean they're not using it, but we stopped talking about it as much. So maybe they figured that out before they rolled it out to the app. That was my experience several months ago, and maybe that's not happening anymore.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it seems like they got AI going there, and they don't got quite all the bugs worked out.
That's what it felt like at the time, that there was like programming, and I know that personalization has been a big thing for Peloton for a long time.
Right.
I get where they're trying to go with it. I just don't know with the people that are doing it if they're ever going to be able to make it so niche for every single person. Like they have focus areas now where like strength, cardio, or balance training.
Yeah.
And then Peloton is going to suggest classes. But like I am so picky about who I will now take certain, like I used to take classes with a lot of different people on the bike, and now I'm so into the tread, it's really difficult for me.
Yeah.
I'm worried they're not going to pick enough classes on the tread for me, that they're going to want me to do something I don't want to do.
Yeah. And people say this a lot about AI, but like, oh, like they love to point out things AI gets wrong and be like, see, this is why we don't need to be worried about it. And whenever I hear that, all I can think is,
Yet.
yeah, let's go back in time 25 years.
Yeah.
Remember what MapQuest was like?
Right?
You know?
I mean, so much has changed
Yeah.
already in such a short time. And I agree with you, Tom. I think these things learn incredibly fast.
And I'm sure they learn even faster than they did 25 years ago.
God,
but
yeah.
I remember when you would use MapQuest and you're like, okay, if I'm trying to get from St. Louis to Orlando, it can do that. But now take me into this neighborhood.
it was
would,
like,
yeah, it would get it wrong a lot,
Yeah.
right? But like nowadays with Google Maps or Waze, you don't even question it.
Mm-mm.
Like of course it's going to get it right. And I just think that like, I don't think AI is there, but I think it's getting there real fast, and it's going to be there way faster than it took something like Google Maps to get there.
Absolutely.
So
No.
I do think in the not too distant future, sorry, now I have the theme to Mystery Science Theater stuck in my head, but in the not too distant future, that it will be able to select classes for picky people like you.
Well, I will keep you updated.
Yeah. Oh, I have no doubt.
I know you don't.
So listeners of the show already knew that this was coming, but Peloton apparel is now officially available at Target.
It is, yeah. And we had assumed that it was going to be third party, and it is. It is, in fact, third party, which means that you're still buying and getting it shipped from Peloton.
Okay.
So I feel like that's an important thing to know.
So that means this is available at Target's website, not in a Target store.
Well, I never actually read the release. That probably would have been helpful. I only looked at the Target website.
But I guess
so
if
I
it's
think that's true.
third party, then they're not shipping inventory to every Target in America.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree. And there's also, you can get like the little handheld weights there too online. The other thing that's interesting is you can return things, but you're really never going to get the sale price, right? Because if you're buying from Peloton direct, they have all their sales over there. I don't know that they're going to go over to Target
And honor those sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I wonder how if it might work that if there's something you like that's sold out, will it maybe be available on Target?
it might. Yeah. That's too soon to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very possible.
Something to keep an eye on.
It is. Also, another interesting note, it only appears to be Peloton's Cadent line. Right now, it is not like their Lululemon collab.
Mm-hmm.
No. This is Peloton branded only. That makes sense.
And that makes sense. Lululemon, like they probably think Target is beneath them and they don't want to they don't want to sully the good name of Lululemon by popping up at a Target?
That is probably true. And it also appears that so far it's mostly the Cadent line. There are other things, but it's mostly the Cadent line that is available. A lot less on Target than you're going to find on the Peloton website for those two reasons.
And then fresh on the heels of this announcement, Jess Sims was at Target.
She was, yeah.
Now, was she just shopping there?
No.
Like, it was like, oh, here's Jess at Target.
No,
just picking up some things.
she was pushing some Kachava, which is her brand that she reps.
Okay.
It's not her brand. It's a brand that she collabs with.
Okay.
But it was like a Kachava event at a Target. So like 3 brands came together for their synergy moment.
Look at that.
Well, 4, because Jess Sims is her own brand, right?
Touché.
So yeah, that was all the things happening.
Peloton and Hilton have expanded their partnership.
They have. So really the big thing that seems to have changed is that now some rooms have Pelotons in them.
Yeah, I think they're calling them connected rooms.
Yes, they are. And for some reason made Cody the spokesperson of this. And like he's real goofy in this commercial. That's why I'm laughing.
Shocking.
I know. I can't think of how that's a downside for anybody involved.
For sure.
That's got to be a good win for everybody. Win, win, win.
And I think he's arguably the most recognized Peloton instructor.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine because I've been like immersed in this world for so long.
Yeah.
That to me, that just seems odd.
Right.
But I understand that a lot of people didn't even, like whenever he was on Dancing with the Stars, people were like, who?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think if you stop someone on the street
and you did a lineup
and you ask them to name a Peloton instructor,
they'd be like, Cody, what's his name?
Yeah.
That guy that says boo all the time.
Yeah. If they even knew that.
Yeah.
But because you only know that if you take a class.
That's
right?
true.
And so, but I think, that he's the one that's most likely to get name checked.
I think that's fair.
Thanks to Reddit, we have some more details about Peloton beta testing their new immersive experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much more than we knew before. It's actually mostly just people's comments that are interesting to me.
Yeah.
I will say that, Reddit is not my favorite forum. I think I've made that pretty clear.
Yeah.
But everybody's comparing it to Zwift because we know that whatever it is some kind of virtual setup.
Mm-hmm.
You're immersed in it. And we also know that it's only for the Bike Plus. So those are the three things. And we do know that the people are thinking that is because of the auto resistance. That's one of the comments. And then a lot of the comments that kind of came out of this is that people really, they're just kind of comparing it to like what else is out there already. Mm-hmm. One of the bikes that's out there is, I can't remember the name of it, but somebody just sent me an ad for it today. And it's a bike. It's a brand that they have a bike, a row, and a treadmill, and all of them are like really they're really connected to games. That's their big thing. Zwift, as you know, has long been the gaming platform, or it's been the cycling platform that gamifies the most and the longest. Like that's been kind of the one that so many people have used. It also is huge because there's been so many people using Zwift for so long that they have such a huge database. So like, you have a much larger chance of like playing Zwift with a friend that than you do some of these others that are just up and coming.
Gotcha.
So Peloton would kind of have their own built-in base with that, right?
For sure.
So that's kind of different. It's just amusing to kind of read people's responses to this. And most of it is just like people just don't get it. They just don't understand why they're doing it. They don't understand, or they're like, this would be the only thing that would make me buy a Bike Plus. And to me, I can't imagine that being the reason you would buy a Bike Plus. Like I mean, I'm not knocking it or anything. I think it'd be a fun experience, but I can't imagine only buying a bike because it had games on it. Like that would not appeal to me.
Yeah. But I would say on the flip side, hearkening back to a story we talked about last week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. About Peloton targeting men without losing women. I think this might be what that is because you don't care, but you're not a man. And so
that's true. Would this make you play?
No, but I'm not a video game guy.
I know you're not.
Right. Like, so just... like I'm not, like I'm still an outlier in that regard, but men are more likely to be into video games than women are. And so I think that's part of what this is. Obviously, there are women who like video games.
Oh, sure.
There are men who like spin classes and they're fine how they are. But painting with a broad brush, like men are that's a more dominated space for men in the world of video games, to its detriment more often than not. And so like, I wonder if this is part of their long-term plan to get more men on the platform. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So if you feel like your PRs have been missing, you're not wrong. You're not. There was a 4-day period, the 19th through the 21st, 3-day period, I guess, something like that, and of January, where you might have hit a PR and you didn't get your little gold star badge. It might have even shown you on the screen that you got a PR, but then you went to go back to look at that class. Poof. Gone. But here's the deal. It's not really gone. First of all, the class is still recorded that you took it. So you still have it from that perspective. Few indeed. Second of all, Peloton figured out what was happening, and not only are they fixing it to make sure it's not happening going forward, but they are backfilling people's PRs that got missed. So in theory, now remember, there's literally millions of people on the platform. So I would hope by Friday, because this is Wednesday, that everyone will have had their PRs filled by then, backfilled if you missed it.
But if you didn't, then reach out to support and do a chat is probably your best bet.
There is a petition being circulated to get Peloton to stop charging their $95 fee when someone buys a bike on the secondary market.
Yep.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. With all the things happening in the world right now that have like companies have just gone mad with the things that are happening. This is the hill you want to die on?
Well, I will say I was looking at this website and it appears to be, it was like PRIG. I forget exactly what it stands for.
PRIG.org.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to be dedicated towards like consumer protection things and like really targeting junk fees and, you know, the convenience fees and all the Ticketmaster fees, things like that. And so this, I think for them would fall under their purview of like, oh, you bought something that we sold you. You don't really own it, you know?
Well, but Peloton didn't sell it to them. And they're not even saying you don't own it. They're saying you have to activate it. That you want to be on our platform and you want to use our shit, and you want to be connected and you want to make sure you have all the protections that go with that, then you need to activate. I could make a case for either side.
Yeah,
I really could. It's clearly a money grab. Like it's clearly like, there's too many bikes in the secondhand market and we want to get our hands in it.
We want to get a piece of it.
Totally.
It reminds me very much of in the late 90s when the music companies were getting really mad about used CDs and how much money that was costing them. And it's like, and then Napster hit and they were like, remember the good old days
when it was just a used CD?
CDs.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I mean, you didn't really buy the equipment. Like, I don't know. It's like if you sold a car and they were like, well, if you want to activate your car. Oh,
you just wait. That day's coming.
Oh, they're going to try.
They will.
Especially with all the stuff that your car can do now with the touchscreen. Yeah. Like that. And they're already kind of doing that. Where like, oh, if you want maps to work built in.
And you got to download this other thing.
And I think most people anymore tend to ignore that because you can just plug your phone in. But I wait for the day when someone says,
look at the TVs. Now the TVs are coming with commercials unless you buy the kind that doesn't. And you got to really pay attention, you know, especially if you just buy something cheap because you're just like, oh, my kid wants a TV. This one's real cheap.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. When you see those 70-inch screen TVs for like $500, it's because that they control the TV and you're going to be looking at ads as your screensaver. And maybe that's not a big deal for you. Like, and it's worth the savings. But if you haven't bought a TV lately and you're wondering why some 70-inch screens are, you know, $2,500 and some are $450 and they seem to have the same specs, that's what's going on.
Well, and I guess that's kind of my point about this, that like, really, this is where we want to draw the line. Like to me, that like the TVs that way more people have, that should be a larger concern. Yeah. Because now you literally have no control over what you're watching. You do not say when the commercials turn on or off. They do.
Yeah.
That's a real problem.
I don't believe it interrupts your show. But
No.
You know, but also those TVs, and I think even the ones you pay a lot of money for, they're all data collections now. That's part of the other reason you've seen the price of TVs drop. It doesn't have anything to do with, you know,
better technology
or better economy. It's because they want you to buy their TV because they're selling your viewing data. So
again, I say, like, I'm not saying Peloton is in the right 100% and everybody should just be fine with this. What I am saying is it's a wild, crazy world out there right now. And this just seems like a silly thing to put energy towards. That's all. Well, if you're wondering what they're doing with that $95, they took $40,000 of it and spent it on lobbyists last year. Well, FYI, they've been spending lobbyist money for years. This is probably the smallest amount they've spent thus far. I was like, that doesn't really sound like a whole lot. It doesn't. And I feel like it's just somebody actually bothered to make an article about it. So it almost sounds to me, and I'm just guessing, and I know next to nothing about lobbying, but given in the grand scheme of things, what a small amount of money that is. It makes me think that maybe they're part of a larger lobbying group. Oh, they could be. And this is their membership fee to be a part of that group. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
But that's just me guessing, and I know nothing about lobbyists. It's just, except that they're stupid expensive, and you have to spend millions upon millions of dollars to really affect the system.
And this is $40,000.
Yeah, which makes me think that like Peloton paid $40,000, NordicTrack paid $40,000, Equinox paid.
Well, the other thing is that the Lobbying Disclosure Act is new. So this was only from Q4. So I will point that out as well.
Oh, so it's not even for the year, it's for the quarter?
It says from Q4.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. It says $40,000. I don't know if they only disclosed Q4.
Right.
Or if it's just from the Q4 earnings and that was the whole year. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I didn't dig in. I was not that worried about it, to be honest.
Well, my guess is this is probably the last year we'll report about it because I doubt there will be lobby disclosures in the future.
I mean, regulations left and right going out the window. Who knows?
Who needs them?
Like I said, it's wild out there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, Peloton will be accepting donations for the LA fires.
They will. Yeah. They had a couple of days at PSNY that last week that you were able to go and donate things. So you were able to donate basic necessities. And I want to keep bringing this up because we will probably see more opportunities like this in the future to be able to do.
Yeah, because they will be dealing with this for
years. Yeah.
Years.
It's awful. Probably next week, we are going to have a discussion with Dr. Jen about, she lives out in Hollywood and right in the middle of it. And so we are going to hear directly from her how things have been on her end of things. And when you hear it, it's from watching the news or from a person who's going through this stuff. It's like really clear this is going to have lasting repercussions.
Absolutely. And coming up after this, we're going to cover instructors in the news. We're going to talk about their new in-ear monitors and which instructor you will be able to see on an upcoming episode of Impractical Jokers. So don't go away.
Instructors in the news.
The instructors have gotten new in-ear monitors so they can hear the control room.
Yes.
While they're instructing.
But I was under the impression that it's also so that the sound it's picking up sound better from the room. Like it overall, the entire sound has gotten
improved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's picking up better quality from the room.
Well, and it looks like as you scroll through the images on the Instagram post, there was one where they were basically taking a custom mold of the instructor's ear. And so I'm sure some of the improved sound is that it just fits your ear better.
Well, something that you may not realize because you don't take these classes is part of the sound issue. It's not even a real issue. You get used to it, but something that has improved, I think, that you don't even think about is they're literally sweating and huffing. And so I think that the slightest movement is going to make a difference with how it sounds into the microphone.
Yeah, because, it's like when you brush up against the microphone.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my guess is with these custom mold in-ears that with all the movement they do, they're going to stay in place in a way that just kind of off the rack ones wouldn't.
Exactly.
My guess is that these are probably comparable to the in-ears that you would see a Taylor Swift or a Guns N' Roses use. I don't know if they use in-ears. They might not like them because they're old school. They like the monitors facing at them. But a lot of those older rock bands, they don't like the in-ears. But yeah, that I would think this is exactly what top tier music acts are using.
Makes a lot of sense. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And I appreciate it. And I have to say that this is courtesy of Marcel Maurer providing this on his Instagram. I know some of the other instructors did too, but he had a lot of pictures that I found super fascinating. I nerd out over that stuff.
The new season of Impractical Jokers is starting here soon, and apparently Allie Love is featured prominently in a new episode.
Yeah, and I will say I have heard a lot of people say that it was Jess King, but everything that comes out that's official about it has been mentioning Allie Love. So I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's Allie Love and then Jess King comes in or something.
Totally
Who
could
knows?
Be. Yeah.
But apparently they take over a class and they do something wacky.
I don't get this show. This is another thing that I just don't get it. I watched a few minutes of it and I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is is this funny to people?
I agree.
think there is just something wrong with my humor when it comes to stuff like this. Like,
Oh, well, I don't agree with that, but this show does nothing for me. It's
this
very
reminds
popular,
me of the
but-
same humor as like Napoleon Dynamite. I just...
Oh, see, I don't...
It's not the same humor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me say that over. My reaction is the same,
Yeah.
which is everyone else is laughing and I don't get it
Yeah.
at all.
I get Napoleon Dynamite.
I don't.
I don't know. It's like a safer version of Jackass. And that show never really did much for me either. But it is very popular.
It is very popular. And it's a huge deal for whether it's Ally Love or Just King or both.
Right.
It's still a huge deal. And it's a huge deal for Peloton. So like, that's awesome. I just don't get it.
If you are a real estate agent in the New Jersey area, Robin Arzon wants to talk to you, although she's probably got one by now.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
She was flooded.
I'm sure she was. And in Ocean City, New Jersey. So I can't decide if this means she's moving or this meant that because it says Jersey Shore. So does that just mean she just wants a vacation
She
home?
wants to buy a second home, maybe. I don't know enough about Jersey to know what's where.
Yeah, I don't either. I know New Jersey is very small, but compared to like a Missouri or something like that. But I don't know how long it takes to like get from Jersey Shore to New York City versus somewhere else in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody will fill me in
I'm
because we
sure.
have lots of listeners up there.
All I know is Red Bank because of Kevin Smith.
Yes.
And Patterson, New Jersy.
Yes.
Because it's the home of Lou Costello.
Well, and I know our helper bee Nikki lives up there somewhere near the drones, but that's all I got.
She's been piloting them.
Yeah.
That's her side hustle. Is she pilots drones?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It makes sense though.
She's very adept.
She is. Yeah, if she's doing that, she sure is. Wow. I need to know more, Nikki.
She can't tell you because she's part of the deep state.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind.
Bex Gentry is doing something called the Grandma's Marathon. I don't know what that means.
It's all of these marathons have names, and that is
yes, I figured
that
it was
is
the name.
That is the name.
But it sounds like it's. Is this
It's
like
a beloved marathon.
Yeah.
This marathon is huge. I believe it's in Minnesota, and this is a very popular marathon. I believe it takes place in like July.
Okay.
Maybe. And people get super excited about it. Like, for example, like one of the running companies that I follow is Sarah Marie Running Design. I love her sweatshirts.
Uh-huh.
And she does one for like Big Sur, and she does one for all the majors. She also does one for grandmas. Like, and a lot of people do. Like, that is not uncommon.
Right.
Like, grandmas is just, it's a special marathon.
I've never heard of it.
And I have just because I've been following the running community.
Obviously, it's not crazy.
I would not expect you to have heard of it.
But I just feel like as long as we've been doing this, I've heard, I have to know what the world
I have been
majors
asked to
are.
go to this
and
one many times. And
at first, you just thought it was like people making fun of your age.
No, I didn't. But it's good to know that's where your head went.
Well, it's called Grandma's Marathon.
Well, do you think Bex Gentry is old? Is that what you're saying? Does she look like a grandma? Because she's a brand new mom, Tom.
It's called Grandma's Marathon. Like, I don't think it's crazy that I'm just like, what does that mean?
It is not crazy. I honestly, what I don't know.
I was picturing like a whole marathon full of people dressed like Vicki Lawrence from Mama's Family.
It takes place in Duluth, Minnesota. And I totally had the date wrong. It's March, apparently. So I was completely wrong.
It's the new July.
Okay, I can't get this right to save my life. It's June. It's June.
Well, you had a 1 in 12 chance.
I did, and I got it wrong twice. But yeah, there's a 5K there. There's a festival happening. It's called Rock the Bayfront Festival that also happens. There's a half marathon. Okay.
Is that
This
Grandpa's
is why
marathon?
I'm confused because there's so many things happening in the middle of this because there's also Grandma's Marathon. So all of these things are happening within like one very long, cool weekend. It sounds like a giant party, which is probably why people love it. And if it has that party vibe, it's probably kind of like New York City where everybody comes out and there's all the people. This is a good race vacation.
Well, and Bex Gentry has earned a party marathon.
She sure has. No joke. She also plans on doing her training, or at least some of her training, in Colorado.
Aditi Shaw has mentioned that she was going to be doing some traveling for some upcoming Peloton projects. Do with that what you will, rumor mill.
Yeah, could be. My brain goes to scenic classes.
Yeah.
Don't know. But she said more on that next week. So
we will have more on that next week.
As soon as it drops, we'll let you know.
Peloton artist collaboration.
The latest artist series features none other than Tate McRae. I know nothing about country music, but I'm pretty sure he's a country artist.
I think it's a she.
Oh, then I stand by my first statement.
But I do think that she is a country artist.
It sounds like a country artist name.
It does. It does.
It
yeah.
sounds like a boy's name. Tate McRae.
I could be wrong.
I mean, it's a unique name that has no historical gender attached to it, like Tom or Crystal does.
Right.
But it sounds like good old boy.
Well, clearly I know nothing about Tate McRae either, but
I guess if it was a boy, it'd be Taint McRae.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
Oh my God, Tom, you did not.
I did.
It is a girl. I just looked at her.
I know. I could see by the picture. I was just being silly.
Well, I just wanted to clarify for people who may not have read our article.
Yes. We are not misgendering Tate McRae.
No.
I am just being silly.
As he often does.
Yes. Although it's now legal to misgender people. Not only is it legal, it's mandatory.
Oh my God.
And I respect our first female president, Donald J. Trump. So, Tate McRae, artist series.
At Tom, not me.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
At me, because I'll ignore you. I don't give a shit. Don't be a snowflake. Come on. You're going to get mad at me. That just makes you a snowflake. Makes you everything you hate. Come on. Don't do that. So anyway, Tate McRae.
Yeah.
This took a turn.
It did.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable now.
That's what I'm here for.
I know. I know. So Tate McRae.
Tate McRae.
Yeah. She's got a bunch of classes coming up. She's like, I want nothing to do with this. So there are 4 new classes coming up. So there's going to be an upper body strength with Callie, a ride with Cody, and a run with Olivia, and a row with Katie. So lots to look forward to if Tate McRae is your thing.
Other connected fitness.
Major news from the world of Kristin McGee and from the world of Tonal.
Yeah.
2 great tastes that taste great together. You got Kristin McGee and my Tonal. No, you got Tonal and my Kristin McGee.
It's really cool. So Tonal just released the Tonal 2.
Yes.
And as part of that new venture, they have created a pop-up called the Tonal Training Lab. At the Tonal Training Lab, they are having a bunch of classes taught by tonal instructors, but also there's some guest appearances, and one of those guest appearances is going to be Kristin McGee. She's going to be there for 3 days, January 30th, February 1st, and February 2nd. She's going to be teaching a yoga sculpt class on the new machine. How cool is that?
That is super cool. And we feel like we need to say that these classes will not be available on the platform. You can only take them at the Tonal Training Lab in New York City.
They are live classes only.
Yeah.
That is important because you can't access them in any way out of your home. You can only go to the Tonal Training Lab and see them. And that's also important because when you go to the Tonal Training Lab, even though they're being taught by an instructor, like we had our class that we were there, that we'll get into it a little bit, was taught by Ash. But Ash had like classes pulled up, like a class pulled up that she did, but she was not like teaching a class in a studio. That's not what was happening.
Yeah, it's not like a Peloton class that's recorded and streamed or played later.
So if you want to see Kristin, you got to sign up for these classes and go there. That's the only way to do it. And the link is like tonaltraininglab.com/schedule. That is how you can sign up. For non-members, okay, so they had a members week. So for anybody going forward after members week, it costs $40. That's it. That's all you got to do. And it's right there in Soho, Little Italy.
I think it's like Little Italy, like real close, like right.
It's like on the border there.
Yeah. At 188 Lafayette.
Yes, correct, Tom.
Who was French, but it's in Little Italy.
This is we will get more into that. We have another Kristin update, so we'll talk more about Tonal too. But if you want a chance to see Kristin McGee and also try out a Tonal, this is a perfect opportunity for you.
Absolutely, it is. And real quick, while we're talking about Kristin McGee, we should let people know that she's also going to be teaching at the Canyon Ranch.
Yes, I believe that's in Tucson, but it's somewhere in Arizona. And she's going to be teaching there. Again, live classes, so it's not anything online.
Right.
So amazing opportunity on both sides of the coast.
Absolutely. And it's hard not to speculate about what this could possibly mean for Kristin McGee long term. And
it means she has a lot of opportunities coming her way, and I'm
Yes.
so freaking happy for her.
Absolutely.
So happy.
So while we were in New York, we did get to try the new Tonal 2 when we went to, I did my first ever
Live workout.
live. Well, I mean, I guess I lived through all of them thus far. But yeah, like in public.
You did a workout in public with other people.
In front of people.
Yeah, a lot of people too.
Yeah.
For you, I mean, because it was your first time,
Yeah.
so that was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Wow, and the Tonal 2 is really cool. So if you're curious about it, the big changes are it goes from 200 pounds to 250 pounds total, and it also has a new mode on it called Aero mode. So instead of using a rope on one arm or the other, they have two T-locks on the rope, and you move the arms in a little bit of a different configuration.
You push them real close together, and then you hook up both the T-locks. And so when you pull on it, you're getting the weight from both arms.
You are. And it works, that particular mode works more like a rower does, in that it like you pull it down and it smoothly pulls itself back in. It has a certain amount of, it's not resistance. It's more of like what a rowing machine would
Yeah.
be. And so it has a different level of how they calculate your output on that part of it. But it is intense, man. It will get your heart rate up when you
Yeah.
are doing that. And so that comes with 3 new moves. They also, other things that are different about it is they upgraded the ropes and the plungers, and the entire machine has like all stronger hardware to be able to withstand the 250 pounds versus the 200. My favorite part about it though was how surprisingly smooth it was. Now, I love our Tonal. It was smooth. I had 0 complaints.
I know, it's so weird to be like, this new one's so smooth, because the old one's not smooth.
No.
But this new one, it's like the difference between having a really nice Honda and then upgrading to, I guess like a Lexus or something.
It's hard to explain, but it's also part of how it like releases back into the machine. It like goes in without that like telltale, like there's that noise that Tonal makes where it's like chick-chunk,
Yeah.
chick-chunk. It no longer goes chick-chunk
Yeah.
anymore. And only people who have a Tonal will have any idea what the hell I'm
For
talking
sure.
about.
Yeah.
Also, last week when we recorded, Tonal 1 was still available on their website. It is no more. You can only buy the Tonal 2. I did want to mention that.
If you're looking for a Tonal 2 and you're like, I can't find it, it's because that's just Tonal now.
Yeah, exactly. And reach out to me because I have a link that you can, if you're wanting to purchase.
Yeah.
I have a link, and it will get you a little money off, and then a little kickback to us legally. Yeah. Kickback sounds illegal, so I don't like that. But it's basically an affiliate link. So I'm trying to say. So freaking cool though. Oh my god, I loved it, and we had such a good time.
We did. It was fun. I mean, as fun as a workout can be. And it was a more cardio than I'm used to. It was a lot by the end. I was just like, 45 minutes?
It was 45 minutes, but you were also lifting so heavy. Like every time I looked over at your weights, like you were over 100 pounds on like everything. I know you couldn't have been on everything because we literally did some things like triceps. I know you weren't.
No, I don't have.
But when I looked
triceps
over,
that could do that.
You were, and it was crazy. Also, it was really cool to be able to verify that like when you lift 100 pounds, because you've maxed yours out with the mini sumo squat. So being able to try out the mini sumo squat on the new machine, does it compare at 100 pounds? It does. And to see what 25 pounds felt like that was just really cool to be able to experience and like see A/B test.
Yeah, I also thought it was interesting being on the new version of Tonal, right? And I have the mini sumo squat move, I have maxed out and at 100 pounds. And so when I logged in to do the mini sumo squat, it didn't, I thought like, is it going to leave me at 100? Is it going to bump me to like 105? And it was instantly like, no, 125, bitch.
You got this.
Yeah. And I was just like, this machine has a lot of faith in me. I don't know about all that, but I was able to do it. So.
And I don't want to say anything I will get in trouble for saying, but we had a really nice conversation with one of the data scientists too. Yes. And we're hoping he will come on the show and tell you guys in his own words about the changes they've made to Tonal. But also, like, I'm really excited for Tonal this year.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that before I get myself in trouble.
New content.
It is time for the TCO Top 5, where you tell us your favorite classes and then we tell them too, starting with your favorite ride.
Okay. So this ride was nominated by Kristin Aziz, and she nominated Tunde's 30-minute Martin Luther King Jr. Day ride from this past Monday on the 20th. And she said, what's not to love about a ride and reflection all in one? She especially loved Tunde's wonderful message about unity. So if you weren't inspired to make the world a better place when you started the ride, you sure will want to when you're done, especially with the two very moving songs at the end.
Number 2, your favorite 20-minute walk.
Okay, so Natasha Rokiski recommended this class. She said it's a wonderful class of nostalgic hits from the turn of the century. This is a 20-minute walk, a 20-minute 2000s walk taught by John Hoskins from January 21st. I know you thought I was going to forget completely to say it, but I saved it. I got it. All of these songs, though, were 25 years old. All of them. And I am not okay.
Yeah, I never like to hear that because I'm just
either.
like, but that can't, oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, your favorite Power Zone ride.
Okay, so this was an endurance ride taught by Olivia Amato. It was a 45-minute ride from October 20th. Not Kristin. Catherine Kimes nominated this Power Zone class. She said that Olivia is an instructor she doesn't usually take, but she decided to give it a try and she loved it. She said it was interesting to see how this class progressed and what zones that they were in. She also thinks Olivia is very sweet, just cute as a button. and Tina added, who is the writer of this article,
yes.
Sweet, yes, but Olivia also shows no mercy when she's pushing us into those power zones. Facts.
Number 4, your favorite 30-minute walk.
Okay, so this class was taught by Jess King on the 19th of January. Liz Nicole nominated this ride, saying that Jess was super uplifting and she said all the right things, felt happier after. This walk was good for a low impact or rest day. Never heard. As Tina said, I don't think we've ever heard Jess's name in the same sentence as rest, but we are going to try it.
And finally, some rides are so daunting you dare not stack them. It is your unstackable.
Which, by the way, when Christian Van de Velde heard that, he loved and thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, he was like, unstackable?
What?
So if you start hearing instructors use the phrase unstackable,
started here.
Know where it came from.
So this class was taught by Christian Van de Velde on November 17th. It was a 45-minute Power Zone classic rock ride. And Tom Gilday recommended the ride. And Lori Setlinski said it was her favorite ride this week, too. Tom said it was a perfect mix of Zone 6 for 1 minute, followed by Zone 2 for 4 minutes, repeated 6 times. Very hard, but very achievable. Great music to boot.
Now we will take a look at this week at Peloton. We will start with Mariana's 75-minute walk plus run endurance at its best.
So Mariana has had 75-minute classes before, but somebody told me about this and I thought they had said it was a 75-minute run, which is not new. I think a 75-minute walk plus run might be new.
Okay.
Either way, endurance classes are awesome. Mariana is awesome. So you're going to want to take this class. You just are. You just are.
And we now know a little bit more about the music people can expect, how it's going to break down. 75 minutes is a long time.
It is, but Mariana has your back. She's going to break this down into what she calls 3 acts. There's going to be classic rock, there's going to be divas of pop, and EDM. Fantastic.
There you go. If it was a Dream Theater 75-minute walk run, they could just play 2 songs and that'd be the end.
That'd be about it.
Yeah. So back to this week at Peloton, we have all sorts of other things for people to check out.
We do, yeah. So there's the new Find Your Max class. Dennis is going to be testing endurance with his newest ride, a 30-minute Power Zone Max ride. That's going to be dropping this week. There's also going to be new stretches that are going to be taking place. And those are, well, Ben is teaching at least one of them. The others are too small for me to see. There was also new Martin Luther King Day Jr. classes. We talked about Tune Days earlier, but there was also classes from Chelsea as well. Dr. Chelsea Jackson Roberts. I always mess up her name every time I say it.
You always want to make it a Robertson.
I don't know why. It's like it just rolls off the tongue that she's Dr. Chelsea Jackson Robertson, but she's not. That is not her name. I always want to drop
the S because of that Beatles song, Dr. Robert.
Oh, I don't know that song.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're going to share it with me later. Also, more core with, or should I say, new core with Emma as well.
And we're introducing a new feature this week, TCO Radar, classes we think should be on your radar. And we just kind of get them out there so you know to keep an eye out.
Yes. So one of the things is the FTP warm-up and ride that recently dropped from Hannah Frankson. Those dropped on January 15th. There's also the Road Runner Scenic Runs that appeared on demand January 15th. Specifically, this is the new Balance Fifth Avenue Mile runs. So
Okay.
2 of those. And then there's also the new Dynamic Strength program that Logan just dropped. That's on the Strength Plus app, only on Strength Plus.
Okay.
And then there's also Push Your Pace program that launched on January 17th. This is all about improving your mile time, your fastest mile yet. We also had Rebecca's new hike that is dropping. It's a strength split with hike that is going to be available on January 25th. Also, we talked about Tate McRae earlier, but there's a new artist series that's also coming up on January 24th. And it's kind of a mini series. It's Sundance classes. So with the film festival starting, I believe, Monday, we think this is going to be songs from films that are at Sundance Festival this year.
Okay.
There's also the new Acanos Latinos 2-for-1 strength class in Spanish, and that is going to be taught by Rad and Camila on Friday, January 24th. This is the first 2-for-1 strength in Spanish. So how cool is that?
Peloton is now offering 7 days to better sleep.
Yeah, this is a new program that dropped, I think, a few days ago, but it's out there and it comes in 3 different languages. You've got German, you've got Spanish, and you've got English. So
How about that?
if you're having trouble sleeping, this is the perfect time to get it together with these 7 days of sleep meditations.
You can sleep in 3 different languages now.
There you can.
In case you missed it.
Peloton Apparel has launched a new collaboration with Camila Ramon.
Yeah, and I know I keep calling it a collaboration, so this is totally my fault.
Yeah.
But it's really a capsule collection that they did in conjunction with Camila. But it's the first time Camila has had a capsule collection on the Peloton platform. And all the instructors have been wearing it ahead of time and showing up and showing how excited they are for her. So that's really cool. And I can't remember the phrase that's on the front of the shirt. It's a bra, long line bra. But it's in Spanish, and it was something happy, and it was like it was good something in Spanish, and I just think that's really cool. Lots of people are looking forward to this. I think this one is going to be one that sells out. I think it's going to sell out.
Peloton birthdays.
Finally, we have 2 birthdays this week coming up on January 25th. It is the birthday of Logan Aldridge.
Happy birthday to Logan.
And on January 28th, former instructor Kendall Toole.
Happy birthday to her.
And coming up after this, we have our interview of the week. We're talking to Julie Brewer, and she donated her kidney to her mother, and she's going to tell us all about that, how it impacted her fitness. So stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Julie Brewer. Hey, Julie, how's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. It's so good to have you here. I always like... Well, thank you. I always like to start these conversations by getting a little bit of background about like how you originally found Peloton and decided like it would be something good for you to try out.
Yeah. So like most people, I found Peloton during the pandemic. It was actually my husband's idea. His sister had talked about getting Peloton a few times, and we're like, oh, what's that? And so we're not big like going to gym people. I just find gym prices outrageous. And we had 2 little kids, and there was no way I had time to like, well, first gyms were closed, but I also don't like spending time driving to the gym, going and coming back because I have little kids. So that's a big chunk of our time. So we finally committed in May of 2020. Everyone was into it. It was getting huge, and we're like, let's just try it. And so we ordered it, and it's funny, when it came, my husband was like the first one on it. He rode a few rides. He's like, are you going to do it? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then when I finally got on it, I was hooked. And I'm like more of a Peloton user than him. And I've been to like the Peloton studios. I'm just kind of crazy. But so I found it, and it really changed up like my workout, I guess, daily workouts. Because I'm a nurse. I have 2 kids. I don't have a lot of time. So it's nice to have the bike there. And then also the app. So I was doing the app workouts daily. And I mean, I became like a 5-day a week user. And it really just kind of got me back into a good workout routine. I had, let's see, Ben, my younger one, he was like 2 maybe. So it was just nice to be able to have that right there at my convenience. And it was funny because I'd be on the bike and it was like without fail, the last 5 minutes of the ride, he'd be on the toilet. He's like, Mom, need a wipe. I'm like, I don't care. You're going to sit on that toilet until I finish this ride. I'm like, are you going to learn to wipe your own butt? So, because he was finishing potty training. And he was like, Mom, my butt's getting numb. And I'm like, I'm not ending this now. So yeah, so it just became like a big thing during, I worked out more than ever. I decided I was going to use this as my time to get back into shape. You know, I had 2 kids and I really just wanted my fitness level to like amp it up. Prior to that, I was just like running a few times a week. So I'd done a couple half marathons. And so running was like my main thing, but I wanted more and I just loved it, fell in love with it. So that's how I found Peloton. Long-winded.
Awesome. No, that's perfect.
And I think this is the first time we've ever heard a Peloton helping with potty training.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes, he did. He did learn to wipe his own butt because he couldn't handle the butt numbing anymore. And I was like, I'm not coming. Sorry.
They typically do learn.
They typically. Yeah, typically.
Yeah. So
I remember when we were potty training the boys when they were young. It's the second marriage, so she wasn't around for it. But the pediatrician we had was very much like, don't try to potty train them. They're like, just let them figure it out. One day they'll figure it out and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it worked. But like my wife was very, very nervous about ex-wife. Well, and the timeline of the story.
I just wanted to clarify. That's all.
I thought I made it clear. Was very upset about that as a notion. And the doctor was finally like, have you ever met an adult who
had never figured it out?
Doesn't know how to pee in the potty? They're like, they'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. No, it was easier with the second one because he wanted to do everything the first did. So that was quick. And Peloton. And potty trained him. So yeah.
That's great. So you said get back into shape. And I'm just curious, like, when you were younger, were you a person who was like active, like at school, or were you into athletics, or were you like, no, not at all?
No, I was not. Surprisingly, I feel like I could have been. Like, I'm like, gosh, my parents really should have put me in more sports. I'm like 5'9". I'm like athletic build. I catch on to things fast, but I get it. Like, my parents were really young when they had us, so they were busy. They were working all the time. They didn't have time to drive us around to sports. And like, I used to be bitter about that. And now being a parent, I know life is busy. So I actually was not super athletic. They did have us in ballet for a little bit and piano. And then I did like theater in high school. So I was more into that. And then when I met my husband, when we were dating and I was in my 20s, he grew up like super athletic. And he was like, oh, do you want to start training for a race with me? And I was like, no. I was so, and so I was like, he's like, come on, let's just do it. And so I slowly started running more and more. And I just remember like the first half marathon we ran together, the last 3 miles, of course, it always just sucks. And so I was so angry with him and I was like, I freaking hate you. Like, bleep out the words, but I was so mean. And I was like, and it's funny because after that, you know, you get that like high, that runner's high, and you're like, wow, I want to do this again and again. So that kind of opened the world of like athletics to me. And then we'd, you know, work out together, we'd swim laps together at the gym. But running was always like my main thing until Peloton. So yeah, this is like, I feel like I'm the most athletic I've ever been now. And I just feel so good. Like, I mean, I'm 42 years old and I'm still like, I can train for a half and I lost a kidney. And I'm like, this is great. Like, had I not found Peloton before that, I think my recovery would have been a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm also curious about your kidney donation journey. I know that's not typically something that like you can plan for. Like, that's not like, you know what, I think next year I'll donate a kidney. Like, that's usually something that kind of just comes up. So how did that happen for you?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, those people who just do it altruistically to someone they don't even know, they are amazing, because I can't say that I would have done that for anybody else. But so my mom and I were really close. And there was, when it turned out that she would need a kidney, of course, like 100%. And I was like, I'm going to do it. But so she was born with one functioning kidney. That's when she was a baby, like they realized her kidney was one of her kidneys was displaced and it was like shriveled and not functioning right. So she had, but her other kidney was like full force functioning. So she was good. But as she got older, when she was 35, she had breast cancer for the first time. And, that takes a lot on your kidneys when you're going through all those treatments and medications and the chemotherapy. So that was a lot on her kidney. And then my mother is also Filipino, and they have a lot, she had like a genetic disposition to hypertension too. So that was also against her. And then she had breast cancer again in her 50s. So she had gone through a lot, but despite all that she'd been through, she was a pretty darn healthy woman. She tried to eat healthy, worked out all the time, but we knew like her kidney function was kind of going downhill. And then she like hit stage 4, end stage kidney disease. And it was to the point her doctor was like, okay, you need to start thinking about a transplant. Or else in the next year, you'll probably have to start dialysis. So she was adamant that my sister, or our husbands, not donate. They're like, you have children. I don't want to take your kidney. And I was like, well, that's my choice. And, who knows what's going to happen like 20 years from now? They're starting to look at, pig kidneys and, there's science out there. So without a doubt, I was like, no, I'm definitely going to do this. My sister was going to try, but she actually had open heart surgery when she was 2 years old. So her doctor wouldn't approve it. Yeah, she had a coarctation of the aorta. So they had to do surgery on her.
Oh my gosh.
So she was out. Yeah. So she was out. And then, so it's, I was like, well, yeah, I'm definitely down. So I went, I emailed the living donor program, and they like immediately just started setting things up for me. And through UCSD Medical Center, because I live in San Diego. So they did there was a variety of tests I had to go through, like EKGs, CT of the abdomen to make sure my kidneys were, there and there were no other issues. And then, they were really in depth. It was like a full head to toe assessment. So it was really nice to see how healthy I was. I'm like, wow. I mean, like literally every lab you could ever imagine, like STDs. I'm like, oh, I'm syphilis. It was crazy. It was like, I'm like, well, I mean, everything. So it was really neat to see all that. So after we did all the tests, it was pretty fast moving. They're like, okay, so when you want to donate, you're a great candidate. You're healthy. And I was like, okay. So this all started probably in like November of 2023, because I donated. My year anniversary is coming up. I had my surgery on January 10th. Of 2024. So, I said, okay, well, let's just get through the holidays, because I don't want to, be in the hospital or like not be able to do things with the kids, because I love Christmas. So we set it up for January 10th. And I mean, I have to say I was nervous, because I've never had a surgery in my life. I've been pretty healthy, never broke a bone or anything. The only time I've ever been in the hospital were for my 2 live births. So I mean, I was nervous, but I'm like, there's just like, that's what we're doing. And I have no doubts, like, no, I'm going to do it. And the other thing that was really awesome too, is that my husband was totally 100% on board too. He also did the workup and was also a match. So having that support was amazing. And so we were both like matches, but I'm like, no, of course it's going to be me. Like my mom is my best friend. Like I'm like actual like blood related, and it's just better chances of like not having a rejection. So, but that was super nice and like wonderful that my husband was actually willing to do that. And people are like, wow.
Absolutely.
So then, and his mom flew out and helped with our kids and the family during the surgery. So that's how that all played out. And it was really quick.
I'm just curious does it work in that if your husband was a good match for your mother, would he also be a good match for you? Like if God forbid 20 years from now, your kidney had issues, is it a given that he could donate to you then?
No, not always. So we'd have to go through the testing again. But one thing that gave me great peace of mind is through the living donor program. If you are a living donor, you, like, God forbid I ever need a transplant,
you cut the line.
Go to the top of the list.
Good. Yeah.
That's why I get a kidney.
You get
I get a fast pass. Yeah.
Just like going to Disney World. It's just like that.
And I don't have to pay for it.
She's going to Kidney World.
I'm going to Kidney World. Yeah.
Well, let's hope your kidneys really cool. Your kidney just hangs in there and it's just healthy and happy all through your lifespan.
Yeah. And I have my 1 year appointments coming up to meeting with like all the team again to see how I'm doing. And I just got all my labs done and they are just like perfect. I mean, it's just kind of scary when you're at each appointment, when you get your labs done to see how wonky they are. You're like, oh gosh, even though you feel good, it is kind of scary to see like your kidney function and everything off. But yeah, I mean, I got them at work the other day because I actually work at UCSD Medical Center now. And so it's pretty cool. But I got all my labs. I'm like, oh my gosh, look, at 1 year, they're great. Like they're just right back to where, I mean, my creatinine, my kidney function is still a little high, but it is like trending down, which is great.
Do you have to change anything after you've donated? Do you have to like, I don't know, do a special diet or change things in any way? I have no idea.
Yeah. So you have to just, eat pretty healthy. They want you can't have too much protein, which is kind of, your kid, it's rough on the kidney to break down. So they recommend, just the RDA recommends, but nothing like you don't want to get too much. So you have to just adjust your diet. Low sodium, you avoid NSAIDs like ibuprofen, but pretty much just staying active and healthy and just kind of watching what you eat, watching anytime you're on medications, just letting your doctor know because those could be really rough on the kidney. So a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm on these herbs or vitamins, and you have to really watch out for certain ones because they can be really hard on the kidney. But yeah, I used to be such an ibuprofen girl. Like my Excedrin migraine headache stuff was my like, oh. And so cutting that out was hard, but they do make tension headache where Excedrin makes the tension headache one, which helps pretty well. And that just has Tylenol and caffeine in it. That's what I took when I was pregnant. So just being careful to avoid the Motrin because that's tough on the kidney.
That makes sense.
So you have to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And luckily, because I went into it already pretty healthy and eating pretty well, like it wasn't too much of an adjustment.
That's good.
So not too bad.
How is your mother doing?
Yeah.
She is doing so great. Like she's lost a lot of water weight just because like her kidneys are now like flushing everything out. She's like she's like sometimes when you when you have poor kidney function, you don't create as much urine anymore. She's like peeing like a champ. I'm like, my kidney's like, there you go. And so, I was like, wow. And like the surgeon told me, then she's like, oh my gosh, when I was like transferring the kidney into your mom, your kidney was like squirting pee at me. I'm like, oh, wow. So yeah, she just looks so good. Like her skin is glowing. She feels better than ever. All her labs are good. She's like a rock star. So
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because my dad actually a couple of years ago had a bilateral lung transplant.
Oh, wow.
Parents both have transplants. What's going on? But she's like doing way better than him. But we're like the same. We're both like really determined, motivated people. So
was she like looking back on it like, I'm really glad you didn't let me talk you out of that? Has she ever said anything like that to you?
Yeah, she's like every day she's like, thank you so much. Like, and she's like, I'm really, really grateful. And like, sometimes my mom, her love language is gift giving. And she'll just like try and like take me out and buy on. I'm like, Mom, you didn't buy my kidney. You don't have to do this. It's something like, I'm like, you got me with like a lifetime of babysitting. So I'm like,
it's funny. I was thinking, I was like, how good was Christmas this year from your mom? Right? Like that's
pretty good. But I'm not gonna lie. She's very grateful, but do that. I'm like, just enjoy your life. And I'm really excited. She's going on a girls' trip with her friends in October to Italy. So she's super excited about that. She just has like so much more energy and she just looks great. Like she's 63 and she's just gorgeous, beautiful, looks so healthy and feels healthy. So
that's fantastic.
Keep up with the kids. Yeah. Good.
That's awesome.
Great story.
It is a great story.
Sure.
So happy. Yeah. It's so good.
I'm curious. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just curious if I know you said that like doing all the workouts really helped with your recovery. Yeah. I was curious if your mom is a active person as well, because I know with that generation it can be a little touch and go. You never know. You know, like my family is so super not like exercisers, so I'm just always curious about that.
Yeah, she is pretty active. She used to run a lot when she was younger, but yeah, they live in San Diego and they live downtown, living the downtown life in the condos, and they go out. She belongs to a gym out there and she's at the gym every day. There's a big convention center on in this area called Seaport Village. And they have like these stairs that people love running up and down. It's a great workout. She's out there like every day doing those stairs. So yeah, she likes working out and she's fit. She goes all of that.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Definitely. My dad, not so much. He barely walks like 2 steps. I'm like, oh, jeez. But yeah, she's doing all her things.
That's great.
So how long was it before you could get back to using Peloton?
So I actually was on the Peloton tread on post-op day 4.
What?
I had a restriction. Yeah.
A walk, I hope.
Yes. All I could do was,
Okay.
I had to be mindful about not using my core, avoiding core exercises and running because I was at risk for like an abdominal hernia because the abdominal wall is, weak after the transplant. It's because they did the incision in my belly button and then laparoscopic. So they reached and just took it out. So yeah. So I was on 6 weeks off of work and they said, you can walk and just move as much as you can, get up and do your movement, just avoid the running and core exercises. And that was so hard.
Yeah.
I love to run. So, but I mean, I lapped on my abdominal binder post-op day 4. And so it's funny because they told me, so the first day, when you work out, when you do something, you might be a little sore. So you should take an oxycodone. I'd never taken any of this stuff in my life. Yeah. I was just, I don't, so I'm like, okay. So I was like, well, what if it's really painful? So I took one on the treadmill walking and I just feel like I'm flying. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, I'm going to throw up. So after that, I'm like, no more. So I was actually fine with just Tylenol the rest of that. But yeah, so I did walks every single day. That was my routine. I'd get up because you do get tired. So I had more energy in the morning. I'd get up and do like a few miles and I would do up to like 6 miles a day.
Wow.
Just like doing I loved my Peloton treadmill. It was so nice. And then there were times where I started doing like Rebecca Kennedy's hikes and I'm like, oh man, I got to slow down. Like, it's so tempting to like just pick up the pace. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, maybe not do 15% incline at 5% speed.
Yeah, so I had to be like, I am super competitive with myself, and I'd have to like remember to like back off. It's okay, like take it easy. So that I think just like saved me having that Peloton tread and doing all those classes. They were so motivating. And then I think at 5 weeks, they actually gave me the go to go ahead and start jogging. So I was just like, and I think I just had like so much like pent up, like energy. So I like feel like I ran like my fastest 30 miles. I ran in a long time. I'm like, whoa. So yeah. And then the minute I got to do core again, I'm like, I'm doing Emma's core she had the core program. I love her core program. I was on that again. Yeah. And I just felt really, really good. I still to this day look back at like my workouts on Peloton, like in the day, like, 6 weeks after. And I was like, I'm like better than I was now. I was ready. I was just like ready to take off. So Peloton prepared me.
Was it nerve wracking to do that first one kind of full tilt boogie? Was it like,
yeah, it was nerve wracking because the incision like was still, pretty fresh and I could feel like pulling. It was kind of weird because it was numb, but I could still feel like pulling. So I was like, oh my God, did I just like tear something?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I was nervous and I was kind of a little more careful. And then as the days went on, I was just go a little faster and it just got easier.
Yeah. For people listening, always listen to your doctor because not everybody has the same clearance at the same times. And
exactly. And I would see that on some of the group, like I joined this group called Kidney Donor Athletes.
Yeah.
I think someone on one of the Peloton groups had like mentioned it. And so I followed that, and there was a lot of like different responses, and people would be like, well, when did you start working out? Or when can I do this? And I'm like, honestly, every hospital and every doctor is going to tell you something different. So don't ask what people are doing. Just do what your provider tells you.
It's so true. So true.
Yeah. So I tried to do it like as best, like stick with it.
I know some doctors, depending on what kind of surgery and stuff you have, I know some doctors are like, oh, don't let your blood pressure get over X because they like your heart rate. They don't want it to get over X rate. Right. And that's really hard because especially after you've been sedentary, you've gone through this process, your body is like, the heart rate will shoot right up the second you start moving. So that's always tough.
Totally. It is. Yeah, definitely. That's 100% true. So
what is your leaderboard name?
Boring. Julie Lynn 17. I always try to think of fun stuff. So Julie is my name, and then Lynn is my middle name. And 17 has been my favorite number since I was like 10. I don't know why. Actually, every time I was in like school, they would assign us numbers. And for some reason, wherever I went, I was 17. So it's not like my age or anything for you weirdos out there. Yeah. But I'm always like, I need something fun and exciting. But I'm like, that's so dull. It's just Julie Lynn 17 for the last 5 years.
It's so weird that your number was 17 because normally it corresponds to the
alphabet.
Like the alphabet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
But that's not her maiden name. So maybe you were like more in the middle of your class or whatever.
Yeah.
I was always 12.
12.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I was. My maiden name was Wishon, so I was always at the end.
Oh, you were at the end.
I was always at the end.
36.
I would just I would just completely like black out until I heard like a U or something, and then I was like, oh yeah, I should pay attention now.
Definitely. Yeah.
So do you have a preferred instructor?
Well, I love Emma Lovewell. She will always be my number one. I just really liked her since day one. I enjoyed her rides. I think she's super mellow and laid back and just like a likable person. I loved her book. I just feel like I relate to her and her life so well. Just so many similarities. I just really enjoy her classes. That being said, every time I meet a new professor, I fangirl over them really hard. I fall in love with them. So I love Matty Majacalo for the walk runs. Adore him. He just gets me going. If I don't want to work out, he just makes me so happy. I'm like, I would divorce my husband and marry you in a heartbeat.
I think that's probably off the table.
With him,
yeah.
I know. I think so. But I'm like, we could have a really happy life. But he would just make me so happy. So I enjoy his walk runs. So I also really love Mariana. So I have a fun story about her. She is actually from my hometown where I live, Bonita. I met her when I went to New York in 2023. We went to the New York studios. And she was in my Tunde class. It was Latina month ride. And she was walking through. And so we got to chatting, and someone had told me she was from Chula Vista, which is really close to Bonita. And I started talking to her. I'm like, oh, so you're from Chula Vista? And she was like, actually, I'm from Bonita. I was like, oh my God, no way. I live in Bonita. And I've seen her running at my golf course ever since that day. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm her stalker. Please don't be scared of me. I'm just like a Bonita mom and Peloton freak. But so I've seen her running. And then her brother is a cardiologist at the hospital I used to work at. So we live parallel lives. We need to be friends. Yeah, we just go to the same spots. And then this was really fun. The day she was in town for Thanksgiving, because her parents literally live super. She told me where they lived, and I was like, oh, that's really close to me. And so the day after Thanksgiving, Friday, I went to a yoga class. So I go to this yoga studio down the way, and it's been there for 20 something years. It's just a one studio place, super cute. Hi, Ben, you got to go, honey. This is where I start yelling.
Something's never changed. Do your own wiping, Ben.
Do your own wiping. Pretty sure his pants were on. But yeah, so I went to the yoga studio, and I was texting with my friends who are also Peloton freaks, and they were like, oh, maybe Mariana will be there. I'm like, no, she probably went back to New York already. So I put my phone away, started doing my yoga, and I turn around for one of the poses, and she legit is right behind me. I'm like, I saw all her bracelets these. I'm like, oh my God, I know that hand. It's Mariana. And I was so nervous. I was like, Mariana is practicing yoga with me. We are friends. And so I was just quiet the whole time. And she's just so low key. I don't think anybody in there knew who she was, except for me and the instructor. Cause I guess she's been going there since forever. She's been there, when she grew up there. And the instructor that I like to go to, that's one of her good friends. And so she always pops into his class. So I was just like, oh my gosh, she's still here. And so after the class, I was like, hey, I was like, it's me. I'm like, I don't want to bother you, but I'm like, I met you in New York like a year ago. And she's like, oh yeah. And we were chatting. She's so sweet.
She
and
is so sweet.
we like took a picture together and she was like so nice. And I was just like, I just had a personal class with Mariana. That's pretty awesome. And then she recently did, before she left for New Year's, she did like a run like around this area.
Yeah, the community.
So she invited all her, the Mariana's mariachi.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, are you going to go? And I was like, oh, I was going to, but I was like, I had to do my like 10-mile run that day. So I'm like, I'll back off a little bit. I'm like, it's been enough. I'm happy with my one-on-one class with her. But yeah, so that was really fun. Like having that connection is super cool. She's a very cool chick.
Yeah.
Lady, woman. So,
all of those things.
All of the above.
Yeah.
She is. She's one of my favorite people. She's really nice.
Such a great athlete. Yes, super nice. Yeah. And of course, I love Leanne Hainsby, and she's just the most gorgeous, fun person. When I saw her in London, like we did a class with her and Ben, and she was so cute. Like we all put these, my girlfriends and I, we put these sparkles on her face, and she came in. She's like, oh my God, so many sparkles everywhere. I feel so underdressed. And she was just so sweet. Like her and Ben, they seem very genuine. They do make really good eye contact, and they'll talk to you as long as they can. And it was just super sweet. Like I adore them. They're just the greatest couple. So
that's awesome.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, Julie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and telling us your story. That was fascinating.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you in all the places if you would like to be found.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Facebook. I mean, I'm on Facebook, and geez, I don't even, how terrible is this? What is my Facebook name? It's just Julie. Just Julie Brewer. And then Instagram, if you want to find me, let me look at that one too. Julie Lynn Brewer. That's it. That's all I've got nothing else.
And Julie Lynn 17.
And Julie Lynn 17 is my leaderboard if you want to ride with me. And also I just wanted to say I had such a great outpouring of support from the Peloton community when I was healing from my kidney donation. And then I don't know if you saw, but Peloton actually sent me flowers after my recovery. And I thought that was so awesome.
It is so awesome.
And I met a lot of like cool people that I follow them. They follow me on their leaderboard now. And it's really cool. I just love the community. So thank you for a year later letting me do your podcast. Because when you had reached out to me, it was like a little bit after and I was still in the haze. But I was like, my year's coming up, my annual, I'm running a half marathon. I'm excited, new year, and I would love to do this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah,
and good luck on your half marathon. I hope it goes well.
Thank you.
And
I hope so too.
continued wonderful health to you and your mom and your whole family.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Blue Sky and Threads and Instagram for now at Clip Out Crystal. And of course, the Peloton leaderboard.
And you can find me on Threads and Blue Sky.
Tom O'Keefe Jr.
At Tom O'Keefe Jr. And on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. And of course, don't forget our Patreon, patreon.com/The Clip Out.
Oh, good. That's good. You got it right this time. Yeah.
So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
and running
and rowing.
Bye.
Clip in.